Right. So my name is Paul Dunn. I am one of the professors of computer science in the Department of Computer Science at Liverpool. And I have recently taken over the role of project coordinator for COMP702, the MSc project module. So I'm going to give a very brief introduction to some of the main points of concern in the project. There are detailed overview provided on the module web page, which I circulated to you earlier. One thing that may be apparent is I have a rather eccentric sense of humor. Why did I do an MSc? I could have got a job instead. But this, it's hard and tough for me. Not sure I'll get things in my head. I might have been a merchant banker. Why did I do an MSc? Perhaps some other kind of danker, sober, upright post hat. Maybe. But no, it wasn't meant to be. A few more letters by my name. Why did I do an MSc? There isn't money, worth, or fame. Reflect I do, but can't make sense. What brought me here to misery? Perhaps I'm thick. Perhaps I'm dense. Why did I do an MSc? So, what is involved? I'm going to talk first stage about preparation, about choosing a project and identifying a supervisor. I'm going to look at the key stages in the process of carrying out a project. So the specification and design proposal, the demonstration and presentation of your work, and the final dissertation, which carries the bulk of the assessment weighting. I'm going to give certain dates in the timetable regarding the start and the different assessment stages. Those dates refer to the main cohort of students. There are a few exceptions to those, so those students will be working to a different timetable. The full details are given on the project information page, which is at that address. So, preparation. There are two basic ways of identifying a project to undertake. You can propose your own. You can find a suitable project from the collection that is shortly going to be advertised. Now, there's no single correct way of doing things. Each of those different approaches has its own advantages and disadvantages. You should bear that fact in mind before making a definite commitment one way or the other. Perhaps you have an idea that you want to put forward for your own project work, but on looking at the list on offer, you find something that is maybe more attractive to you. Equally, you may find that the advertised portfolio projects doesn't contain much that interests you, And so that encourages you to start about thinking, putting your own idea together. So, do it yourself. What are the advantages of coming up with your own project design? Well, I would presume it's going to be work that is something that's of interest to you. You may already have had some ideas about aspects which are going to be problematic and require special care. You may indeed have already mapped out some basic approach to undertaking the project itself. That's all perfectly all right. There are few disadvantages. Made it very clear in the guidelines that it is your responsibility to identify and to persuade an academic to act as a supervisor for a project. The minimum you need to do in that direction is to prepare a brief and a lucid description of what you see your project as involving. And while we encourage academics to be sympathetic to student proposed ideas, they will not be subject to any pressure to take on a project that you propose. It is possible also that the idea you put forward may be acceptable, but only if certain changes are made in its structure. Maybe it needs beefing up, maybe it needs scaling down. What about off the shelf, already designed project ideas? Again, projects proposed in the portfolio provided will all be feasible and suitable scale. They will not be too extensive, they will not be too trivial. They will in general be linked to the expertise and the background of the supervisor proposing them. And most of the time, the supervisor will have some plan of action, some ideas about the way to proceed with completing them. Disadvantages. It is a competitive process. As the Rolling Stone said, you can't always get what you want. Some descriptions may look appealing on the surface, but when you actually get into the project, you find something else or not what you expected. Some projects may be available in the sense that no student has been allocated to them, but the supervisor offering those projects is already fully subscribed, is already fully committed to other supervision. So in summary, if you have an idea you want to work on, don't wait for the official list of projects to be released. Start some initial preparation. Write a brief and a clear description of it. So brief being maybe 150, maximum of 200 words. Identify possible supervisors. What do I mean by possible? Possible means individuals who have an identifiable interest in your idea. For example, from information on their departmental web pages. Possible does not mean You work in computer science, so you have just got to be interested. What do you mean, no? Oh, come off it. I thought you did like computing sort of stuff in it. Contact potential supervisors by email, and you should include copy of your proposal, short description, some kind of rationale as to why you think the individual you are approaching would be a good person to supervise this work. Maybe they've taught a module in an area related to the project you're proposing, something like that. And it's probably okay to contact several individuals at the same time, subject to the warnings above. You ought to allow at least or up to a week for a response one way or the other. Surprising as it may seem, members of the department do actually have other things they are doing at the moment. If you would rather look at what's going to be offered, the portfolio of projects available will be released on April the 24th, and this will be via the SAM system at that link. If you have specific areas of interest, start with the projects offered in those areas by relevant staff. There are going to be close on, possibly even over the order of 300 distinct projects being described. Please read the descriptions carefully. Feel free to contact by email the person offering a given project, expressing interest in undertaking it. Expression of interest is not a commitment, it is an expression of interest. Do not base your choices only on the project title or only on the individual who is going to be supervising it. Do not add anything to your list of possible choices unless you are prepared to have it assigned to you if it is needed. Do not assume that a project has been allocated to you until your name appears next to it. And finally, don't complain about what's available. So what happens next? Project work begins formally on June the 5th, 2023. The first important assessment stage is the specification and proposed design. It sets out, more accurately it should set out, what you are doing, the specification, how you intend doing it, this is the proposed design. Now, why and in the placement type based projects where are also relevant considerations, but not so important at this initial stage there. The specification and design are core elements that position your project as both relevant to computer science and as something that is feasible within the time you have available. And I would draw attention to the word proposed. It is possible that your design may need some adjustment. It may need to be scaled down. It's too ambitious. It may need to be beefed up. It's too trivial in some ways. So you should be prepared for your initial design to have some adjustment made. To the extent that that is necessary, you will be informed on the initial feedback. The next assessment point is a demonstration and presentation. This involves a 15-minute oral, spoken presentation, demonstration of the software that you have produced, and a supporting short, about 5 pages in a readable font size report. Depending on eyesight, readable font size is at least 10 point. 12 point is usually okay for most people. The specification and proposed design also involve an oral presentation. However, this is only given to the project's main supervisor. For the design presentation, both supervisors are involved. What about the dissertation? The dissertation contributes 70% towards the overall mark, and it is a record of what you have completed, and one hopes an honest self-evaluation of what you have done over the time you have been working. There are templates for the dissertation structure in both Word for those of you who like that kind of thing, and for other people who want to use LaTeX. Those are again on the main project webpage. So, just to summarize, the project module runs for over 3 months, the whole of June, the whole of July, the whole of August. It has a 60 credit weighting. In English, that means it is effectively the equivalent of 4 taught modules. You are expected to have an average to spending an average of 37.5 hours per week working on the project. It is a full-time engagement. It is a significant undertaking. I would not want to understate that in any way. You cannot do the project part-time, certainly not at master's level. The work you carry out on the project is maybe the first, in fact, possibly, depending on what your future career turns out to be, it may indeed be the only occasion when you are involved with a task of this kind of significant scale. Uh, the involvement with an academic supervisor is very much at a peer level. It's a much more equal interaction than lecturer or student type level that you may have encountered in the top part of the course. And because of that, if you feel you have particular ideas which are a good way to take the project you're working on, and please feel free to put those forward. Okay? I hope everybody has a successful and enjoyable time. Thank you very much for your attention.